Mm-hmm.
There we go. And I'll send it to you. So the unified field, let me just go back here. The unified field is the source of all creation. And that source is the basis for the four fundamental forces that modern physics have discovered, right? And the four fundamental forces are gravity, electromagnetism that's found from the sun, and the strong and weak force that's responsible for holding the nucleus of the atom together, all right? And the atom is 99.99% empty space. So everything is really empty space. We are just made of energy forces, energy particles. But at the finest level of creation, there's one unified field source. That's the source of the entire creation. And that unified field of natural law has 25 qualities. And these are the qualities. This is a field of all possibilities because everything in creation comes out of this field. There's also a field of infinite silence. There's a field of immortality. There's a field of bliss, happiness. There's a field of simplicity. And there's so many other qualities. It's perfectly orderly. There's infinite correlation. That means when you stir the unified field here, all of creation gets stirred. So when you awaken the unified field in a human being, all of creation gets awakened. And that's the unique qualities of these unified field qualities. Okay, so we're going to talk about the practical aspects now, and that is what benefits does TM have on the mental abilities of the human potential. The average human being, the modern psychology has discovered that the average human being only uses 5 to 15% of its mental potential, right? 5 to 15%. And that means that Professor William James, a famous psychologist, said that it's as if we have our whole body available, but we're only using our little pinky. We have it, but we're not using it. And Marshy said this is the reason why people are still suffering in life. We're not using our full potential. Because if we were using our full potential, we would be able, through TM, to tap that source of infinite energy and intelligence that's hidden within. And that infinite source of energy and intelligence that's latent within everybody is easily found through transcendental meditation. Because we tap the source of love within ourselves, the source of happiness within ourselves, the source of fulfillment of desires. That source that's called the unified field, that source is transcendental consciousness that you find with transcendental meditation. And that source, that restful alertness source, is experienced as deep relaxation. You experience it as a state of deep silence and relaxation. And when you enliven that source, all of nature rejoices because that source is also a source of infinite correlation. So here's the thing. How come someone can fulfill their desires and another person can't? What's the difference? How come someone can fix an air conditioning and I don't know how to fix an air conditioning? What's the difference? The person has studied. He has gained knowledge on how to fix that air conditioning, and I didn't. So the difference is in knowledge. Knowledge is the basis for action. Action is the basis for achievement, and achievement is the basis for fulfillment. So fulfilling your desires is directly correlated with the amount of knowledge you have. And knowledge, Marsha explains, is structured in consciousness. When you enliven that source of pure knowledge within yourself, the source of creation, the transcendental consciousness, when you enliven that, spontaneously you start to fulfill your desires more and more. It won't happen overnight, but you become conscious, you become aware of how to fulfill your desires. So that's how you start to use more and more of your latent potential within yourself. So how do we expand our mental potential? Simply by going to the source of thoughts within ourselves through transcendental meditation. We enliven that source of infinite intelligence and energy. And we're gonna spontaneously enliven it by tapping it with TM. And this is the art of fulfilling your desires and fulfilling the purpose of your life and fulfilling all those desires that are available to the human being through the knowledge. This has been studied. Dr. Alaric Alarander is the president of the Brain Research Institute in America. He's one of the researchers, one of the many researchers, independent researchers. And what he has done, he has put electrodes on your head. On the left, you see those electrodes. And he's studying the brainwave coherence. It's called electroencephalogram, EEG coherence. The orderliness between left and right brain, between front brain and back brain, and when a person meditates and when a person doesn't meditate. In general, a person that doesn't meditate, the brain is pretty chaotic. You see the left brain going in one direction, the right brain going in another direction. It's pretty chaotic. But when a person starts to meditate, this is what he found. After, let me just put it full, then you can see it completely. All right, just. Sorry, let me just do this properly. Just went back to the beginning. All right. It's called the EEG coherence, or the orderliness between left and right brain, frontal brain and rear. And what happens when a person starts to meditate? You see those orderly bars there on the left side. After 2 weeks of meditation, the orderliness increases. After 4 months, it increases even more. After 2 years, there's more coherence between the left brain and the right brain, between frontal and rear. It's called EEG coherence when the brain functions in harmony with each other. And all the waves start to function coherently. And this EEG coherence is increased effortlessly in TM with the TM technique. The benefits are manifold. When the coherence, the orderliness increases in brainwave functioning, you see an increase in intelligence, an increase in creativity, increase in grade point average, increase in emotional stability, decrease trait anxiety, decrease neuroticism. I tend to speak in Dutch, so I have to go back to English. Increase moral reasoning, increase neurological efficiency. All of these things are associated with orderliness of thinking, because orderliness of thinking is the basis for orderly thoughts, for orderly action, and for orderly behavior. And the orderly behavior is directly associated with successful activity, right? So over time, you start to use more and more of your brain. And the experience of the fourth state of consciousness, transcendental consciousness, forms the very basis to develop your full mental potential. All right, this has been studied as well, and that is increased happiness hormones. Serotonin is associated with the feelings of happiness, and these things are measurable. So this hormone, serotonin, is increased when you start to practice meditation, okay? The opposite of serotonin is cortisol. Cortisol is the fight or flight hormone when you get stressed. And that decreases drastically when you meditate, right? The cortisol is decreased drastically. These are some of the 700 scientific research that has been found. Let me see here. Increased intelligence in students, in university students. They thought that after age 30, intelligence cannot increase. But what they have found with people that meditate is that the intelligence does increase with people that practice the transcendental meditation. In general, all the things that has to do with developing education, like academic performance, all of these things increase by meditators, by people that practice transcendental TM and all the things that has to do with education, like increase IQ, improve college grades, academic performance, increase creativity, improve memory. All of these things improves over time. This is a study, it's an interesting study. It's called a meta-analysis of 146 studies. Now, each scientific study takes a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and it costs a lot of money to do these studies. So this is a collection of 146 of these studies. And what they have studied is which technique reduces anxiety the most. And they found that all meditation techniques work alone in reducing anxiety. Mantra meditation, biofeedback, other meditation techniques, the placebo effect, all of them do decrease anxiety. But the TM technique was more than twice as effective in reducing anxiety. That's what was found. And in TM, you don't have to believe in it. It just works. The placebo effect means you go to a doctor, you say, doctor, I have a headache. Can you give me a medicine? And he gives you a medicine and you get better. But the medicine was just a sugar pill. Just your belief in your doctor heals you. Just your belief in something heals you. And that's called the placebo effect. So all the other techniques work just as good or less good than the placebo effect. But the TM technique, you don't have to believe in it. It just works, okay? And that's the uniqueness of the TM technique. In general, what they have found in the research, and this is all in Dutch, but I'll translate it quickly, is that there's more intelligence, development of creativity, more original thoughts, better concentration ability, sharper intuition develops, but also qualities of the heart develop. Harmony, more flexibility, you're more spontaneous with your behavior, more loving with your behavior, and in general, your emotional balance increases. Okay? All right, now TM and the effectiveness of TM on health, mental and physical health. So what happens is you get a deep state of rest in meditation. Even though it's a mental technique, your body comes to a deep state of rest. And this deep state of rest dissolves the deep-rooted stresses that are the causes of all kinds of diseases in the mind and body. Psychologists have discovered that about 80% of all diseases have a psychosomatic source. That means stress as source, you know? But Marshy said that virtually 100% of all diseases have a psychosomatic source. Everything has a source in stress. So the deep state of rest, the fourth state of consciousness that you get in meditation, this dissolves the deep-rooted stresses. And when it dissolves, you experience from the very beginning, you start to experience a deep state of relaxation. And this deep state of relaxation is associated with the release of deep-rooted stresses and an increase of energy and alertness. From the very beginning, you start to increase your energy and alertness. And a decrease of all stress-related diseases like high blood pressure, asthma, hyperventilation, insomnia, and stuff like that. Psychotherapy has been compared with transcendental meditation and which one has been most effective. Psychotherapy does have a positive effect in certain situations. Post-traumatic stress disorder, that's PTSD. The transcendental meditation, you see that in the gold bars, has decreased dramatically the PTSD, insomnia, alcohol, family problems, stress, all stress-related diseases have been decreased. Anxiety, depression, all of that has decreased with TM because TM dissolves the deep-rooted stresses that causes these kind of diseases. So what happens is you improve your mental health. PTSD, anxiety, insomnia, depression decreases over time when you start to practice transcendental meditation. All right, heart disease. Heart disease is the #1 killer in the United States at this moment. Heart disease is associated with high blood pressure, and the United States government spends billions of dollars in treating heart disease. So what they did is the National Institute of Health, a government organization in the United States, has spent $26 million over a period of 18 years to study the effects of all meditation techniques, of anything that can work in reducing heart disease. And after the 18-year study and $26 million invested, they have found that transcendental meditation was the only consistent meditation technique. Other meditation techniques did give some results here and there, but not consistently. Sometimes they were given it, sometimes they weren't. But TM was the only technique that has been found to be consistent in the results. All other meditation techniques, including mindfulness, received a no benefit level of evidence and are not recommended at this time. That was a publication of the American Heart Association, the American Medical Association. And these associations are not friends of alternative medicine. They don't believe in alternative medicines, okay? They only believe in evidence-based, solid gold standard studies. And TM technique was the only technique that has passed this gold standard evidence-based research. So they came out with a proclamation that TM may be considered in clinical practice to lower blood pressure. Many of the negative studies or mixed results. All other meditation techniques got a class 3 benefit level, a no benefit level of evidence because they were not consistent enough. This was a big study, 18 years, $26 million. It's a big study. It's a gold standard, high quality study. So this was a big boost for the TM movement, that it was evidence-based. And here's the charts of how it reduces high blood pressure and heart attack and all the other things that has to do with heart disease. Also, decrease hospital admissions. Meditators have been found to be much less sick than non-meditators over time in all categories of diseases. And here's the interesting thing. In general, TM people that have learned transcendental meditation over time, their medical cost has decreased dramatically in comparison with those that are not non-meditators. Especially on the right chart, you see, those that are 65 years or older, their medical, normally when people are older, they get sick more often. So they have more medical costs, right? But in TM, people that have started TM, those people that are 65 years or older, they use less medicine. The medical cost is far less than those compared to non-meditators. Because what is the cause of sickness? The cause of disease is stress and buildup of stress over time. So now the TM technique gives you a way to get rid of these stresses. And what they have found is that people that meditate 5 years or longer have a biological age of 12 years younger than their chronological years. So in other words, if you're 50 years old, you still function and look like a 30-year-old. And that's nice for to add 12 to 15 years to your youth, so this is very important. So those that meditate, this is the study done in details. I just wanted to show you, it's too much to go over, but all these qualities are improved with people that practice TM, reversal of the aging process, with other words. All right, social behavior. The first fundamental principle of the art of behavior, Maharshi explains, is meet with warmth and meet to give. So when two people meet each other and they have the intention of giving the best of each other, then both of them gets the best of each other and both of them gain fulfillment out of that relationship. But if two people meet each other to only gain, only get from the other person and nobody gives, then nobody receives and everybody and the two people gets frustrated out of that relationship. So ideal social behavior is based on the principle of meet the person to give the best of yourself. Meet with warmth and meet to give. And then you will get most out of that relationship. It's a simple logical conclusion that when you meet and you meet to give the best of yourself, you'll get most of the relationship because, the person will then give back and all of that.
Yeah.
The interesting thing here is you can only give what you have. If you're not happy, how can you give happiness? If you don't love yourself, if you don't respect yourself, how can you give love and respect to another person? And everybody wants love and respect, and everybody wants to feel happy and love and cherished. If you don't have joy in yourself, how can you give joy to another? So Marcia says, you have to fill the cup first. And only the cup that is full will flow to its surroundings. So you have to discover that love within yourself, that happiness within yourself, the joy within yourself first. And then automatically your social behavior will improve. And this is what they have researched. The development of the personality happens very spontaneously. Self-acceptance improves. The capacity to warm interpersonal relationships improves. Love improves. Inner directedness improves. Acceptance of aggression, more comprehension, more tolerance of the other person, more tolerance of yourself, and more tolerance, therefore, of other people as well. So all these qualities of a good personality develops when you start to meditate because you feel happier within yourself. You have found that long lost love is not in others, it's within yourself. And that love you will find spontaneously developing when you experience transcendental consciousness, the source of happiness within yourself. So that's what happens. This is explained in Dutch here, but you don't need to go through this. It's the same thing. Also, social behavior increases in the work sphere when you work with other people. A more relaxed, association with others. Development of productivity increases. Increased job satisfaction, increased job performance, decreased desire to change jobs because you're happier within yourself. And a decrease of stimulants like alcohol, tobacco, and experimental drugs. Improve work relationships with supervisors and with co-workers. Decreased use of alcohol and drug abuse. Very spontaneously. You don't have to force yourself. It happens automatically. When the cup is full, it flows to its surroundings. When you start to feel full within yourself, Marcia had explained it. A poor person doesn't have much to give. Even if he wants to give, the poor person cannot give much. A wealthy person, materially wealthy or emotionally wealthy or physically wealthy or mentally wealthy, they have much more to give. When you're happier within, when you have more joy within yourself, automatically you can give that to the surrounding. That's how it works. The basic principle is you have to have it in order to give it. So improve work relationships and personal relationships. That happens spontaneously when you start to meditate regularly. All right, and the final subject is society, world peace. TM and its effectiveness on society. Marshy, when he started the program, he said in 1957, he said, not everyone needs to meditate. Only 1 in 100 needs to meditate to feel a positive effect, a positive influence in the entire society. Why is that? Because we are very intimately connected to our society. It's just like, we have 100 million cells in our body. The health of each individual cell is dependent on the health of every other cell in the body. Similarly, our health, our rest is directly influenced by the society in ours. If someone is very stressed in our society, in our neighborhood, we start to feel the stress from the other person because the influence is what do you call it? Is we influence the other person influences us. It's way to care if they call it in Dutch. So
like the ripple effect.
what do you call it?
The ripple effect.
Yeah, the ripple effect. So we're very intimately connected to the entire consciousness of Canada, and we are like an individual cell in the whole of Canada, in the body of Canada, and in the consciousness of Canada. So individual stress is the basis of collective stress, and individual rest is the basis of collective rest. So what does world peace really mean? It means a world full of peaceful individuals. What does a green forest means? It means a forest full of individual green trees. So we solve the problem of world peace on the level of the individual. That's what happens. And only 18, 20 years later, after Marshall proclaimed that we only need a small amount of people to influence the society, we found 16 cities in the United States that had 1% meditators, 1 in 100. And what they found, and this research was done in November, December 1974. And they found in those 16 cities that had 1% meditators, what they found in comparison with the cities that don't have meditators, they found that the crime rate decreased by 8%, while in the control cities, the crime rate increased by 8%. The number of accident rates decreases dramatically. The number of hospital admissions decreased in those cities that had 1% meditators. So this was a eureka for Marshy. This was, wow. He was so impressed that in January 1975, he made a world tour. And he went to every continent in the world. And he proclaimed, a new age is dawning for mankind. Through the window of science, we see the dawn of a new age, an age of enlightenment. Through objective scientific research, we see a new age dawning for mankind. Because if this is scientific research, it has to be repeatable, verifiable, and universal. Those three qualities has to be there. Otherwise, it's not scientific research. Otherwise, it's worthless. So he did this study, and he wanted to give the world a taste of utopia, a taste of an ideal world, right? And in December 1983 to January 1984, he gathered all those that are doing the advanced techniques. It's called the TMCD program. It's not 20 minutes morning and evening anymore. It's 1.5 hours morning and evening. But here's the kicker. You have to meditate together. When you meditate together, it's like 1,000 soldiers marching at the same time. The whole earth will start to tremble. When the soldiers march separately, nothing happens. So in that time, in December 1983, we had over 250,000 sit-ups in the world in 83, but they were not doing program together. He said, let's do the program together, and what you will see is what you call a quadratic effect. So what the theory was, is that if you had 100 meditators meditating together, it's the same as 10,000, 100 times 100, is 10,000 siddhas, 10,000 meditators apart. It's the same effect. So whenever you have the square root of you have 1% of the world population at that time it was 5 billion people in the world. So 1% would be 50 million, all right? So at the time, currently we have about 10 million people meditating. So we're short about 40 million people to have the Marshi effect on the whole world. But when you have these siddhas doing the program together, you just need the square root of 50 million. The square root of 50 million is 7,000. 7,000 times 7,000 is 49 million meditators. It's equal to 49 million meditators. So he wanted to gather as many people as possible to give the world a taste of utopia. So when you have 8,000, and at that time we got 8,000 people, 8,000 siddhas together, doing the program together at the same time for 3 weeks. So he invited all the scientists to study this effect to see if we had a global Maharshi effect. He studied the crime rate globally. And I was there as well. I was a student at MIU, at Maharshi International University at the time. It's an acclaimed, acknowledged university that studies normal subjects like business, computer science. I have my computer science degree as well, but my MBA in 1987 and 88. But I was there in the left-hand corner. If you can look closely, I was there in the left-hand corner in the middle. I was a student at that time in 1983. And this is the result of the studies. Global Maharshi effect, the reduced international conflict. And you see Fairfield, Iowa on the left bar. You see a decrease of international conflict by 35%. This was repeated in Den Haag, Holland. And again, it was repeated in Washington, D.C. in 1993. Now, with social studies, you always have a probability effect. It could be probable, but it could be also caused by something else, right? Mm-hmm. So the probability that it was less than 1/4,000% that it was due to something else other than the TM technique. And the probability was repeated over time. This was a study in Washington, D.C. in 1993, 10 years later. And this was the White House in front of there. So we gathered about 5,500 siddhas in that time period to do the program together in the 3 weeks that they were together. And we told the mayor in advance, hey, mayor of DC, we're gonna let your crime rate decrease while we are there. Of course, the mayor laughed and he said, that's impossible. You know how high the crime rate is in Washington, DC? Washington, DC was one of the highest crime rates in the nation. So to let the crime rate decrease, you have to have a miracle performed. Okay, so they studied, and the mayor of Washington, D.C. put his Department of Criminology to study these effects as well, all right? So this was the result of the study. You see in the blue, that's when the groups gathered together. And in the beginning, nothing happened. The group was still settling and the group was still gathering. But as soon as we hit a certain amount of siddhas meditated together, the crime rate decreased by about 25%. It was a striking thing that happened there. And the mayor was so impressed that the crime rate actually decreased in the time that we were there, that he himself started with TM. So, but after the group dispersed, the crime rate increased again. So you have to have a permanent group of meditators together. And this is found in physics as well. Okay, this theory, if you have a piece of metal and you want to magnetize a piece of metal, all you have to do is have 1% of the molecules flow in one particular direction and the whole piece of metal gets magnetized. And then it starts to throw off all negativity. It's called the global Maharshi effect, but it's also found in physics. If you want, diffuse light, normal light, is chaotic light. All the molecules are going all over the place. But when you order all that diffuse light into an orderly piece of light, it becomes a laser light. And laser lights become very powerful. It can cut through a door. That's how powerful a laser light is. What's the difference? The difference is in orderliness of the molecules. So the orderliness is the basis for effectiveness and having that Maharshi effect. And so all this time, there's myself and Radha We initiated some people here in Suriname, students.
Nice.
We had the election. But all over, we want to form a permanent, not just a temporary group, but a permanent group of meditators meditating together, of the advanced meditators doing the CD program, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The CDs are natural abilities in every human being. We want that to develop it together. So this is in North Carolina. There's groups formed all over. We tried it in Fairfield, Iowa, and to form a permanent group of 9,000, because that's the square root of 1% currently of the world's population. And it hasn't worked because of practical situations, logistics. The students graduate and they go to another university. People lose their jobs. All kinds of situations took place so that we couldn't grow that. We have about 3,000 meditators in Fairfield, Iowa, but it's not enough for the global Maharishi effect. But we're still trying our best to form a group of 9,000 people. Fairfield, Iowa is a town of 10,000 people. Of the 10,000, about 3,000 of them meditate together. Or they're 3,000 meditators. They're not necessarily meditating together because of COVID and all that. But now the COVID is almost loosening up. We're going back to normal. You have normally about 1,000 people meditating together right now there. But so what Maharishi tried to do, he tried to do this in different continents all over the world. And we did this with the Vedic Pandits. Now you look at the left-hand corner, you see a young boy there of 8, 10, 9 years old. They study 12 years to become a Vedic Pandit. So Maharishi said, hey, why don't we sponsor these people? We pay the teachers to do their teaching, and we initiate them all in the TM and TMCD program, and we house them. This building was built by the donors of the wealthy people in the movement. So Maharishi asked the wealthy people in the movement to form a Brahmananda Saraswati Trust. That's the name of his guru. Maharishi's guru is Brahmananda Saraswati. He was the Shankaracharya of Jyotimat, of the spiritual seat in northern India. It's called Shankara in the 15th century left 4 spiritual seats in India. And the one in the north was the most important one because that was the most spiritual seat. And that seat, a master comes every now and then and sits in that seat. That throne was empty for 300 years. And Maharishi's master was a celibate monk, and he was asked to come there. It's called Brahmananda Saraswati. And he was asked to come and take that place in the 1950s. He took that place that was vacant for 300 years. So Maharishi's master was that Shankaracharya, the Brahmananda Saraswati. So we created a Brahmananda Saraswati Trust Fund, and $35 million was gathered in that fund. And the trust fund works like this. You don't touch the money, but you live off the interest. And off the interest, they build these buildings like you see there, and you pay the pandits the normal salary. You pay everybody, you dress them, you house them, you feed them, everything. That's what Maharishi wanted. And then at the same time, because these people get paid, at the same time, they create world peace. So we have about 2,000 of these Vedic Pandits gathered together in the Brahmastan, in the heart of India, in Madhya Pradesh, and we want to bring it to 9,000. So all over the world, also in Mexico, they're trying to form large groups of meditators meditating together. And the bottom line is this: we want to gather more meditators in the world to spread. It's not only beneficial for yourself, but it's beneficial for the whole world. That's why we invite everyone, and that's why we're giving these free lectures, because we're enthusiastic to form a better world, to form a happier world, to create real world peace, lasting world peace. So the bottom line is this: TM is not a religion, it's not Hinduism, even though it comes from India. It's a universal principle. You don't have to change your behavior. You don't have to follow certain rules. You don't have to become vegetarian. You don't have to sit in a difficult yoga position. You don't become a member of any organization. It's a do-it-yourself technique. You do it yourself. TM is learned in 7 steps. The first step you have learned now is the following of this introductory lecture in the TM technique. These are some famous people that have learned TM over the ages. They're not perfect, but they're famous people. You might know some of them. You might recognize some of them. They're all meditators, and they all love the TM technique because it's easy, natural, and effortless. Right? It's the basis for wellness and wholeness. And the first step is learning of the TM technique is following of the introductory lecture. And you have just followed that now. The second step is a preparatory lecture. If you're interested, I can just give you that lecture. It's 15 minutes only, 10, 15 minutes. And there we talk about how the technique works exactly, how it differs from other meditation techniques, and what's the background, what's the tradition of masters behind it, and all of that. So that will take 10, 15 minutes. The third step is a personal interview. If you decide to begin, you fill in a form. You go to a local center, you fill in a form, and you have a personal interview with a teacher that will teach you the technique. That will take only 5 minutes.
Wow.
The fourth step is when you start the course, there will be 4 successive days that you will learn the technique. The fourth step is the personal instruction. That takes about an hour, and the teacher will then teach you the technique itself, and you will learn to meditate in an hour time. And the fifth step, you come back in a group with other people that have learned the technique itself, and you have the group discussion. You're verifying the correct practice, because you will learn 2 things. You will learn a sound, and you will learn the technique. The technique is just as important as the sound. We'll discuss that in the second lecture. The sixth step discusses the mechanics of the technique, how it works exactly, why it works, and all of that. And the 7th day, of the 4 days, it gives the vision of all possibilities, how the regular practice of meditation will improve your life. So, and then in 4 days is a 4-day course, in other words. After the third step, you can do in your local center, wherever you are. You find a center, you do that first step. And then if you want to do the course, it's a 4-day course. Each 1 to 1.5 hours a day. And then the course is complete. And then you can meditate on your own. And for the rest of your life, you're welcome to come to a center to get your meditation checked, to see if it still works for you, and the question and answers of any things. Are there any questions about this?
No, I'm like really, really impressed, honestly.
I've been doing this 40 years, so that's why.
Wow. Thank you so much. Like, I really, really appreciate that and what you're doing. It's very impressive. And
Love it.
of
We
course,
love
I'm interested 100%.
Yeah. I'm happy you're interested. I can show you the second lecture. Hold on a second. I can show you the second lecture, and then we can talk about it if you want. Okay.
All right.
Let me see here. Just a second. Let's go back here. All right. We spoke about, do you want to take a break, or you want to continue with the second lecture right away?
No, it's up to you.
All
It's
right.
if you want, we can take a break, but it's fine for me.
Mona, can you grab some water, please? No, thanks. No. Normal water. No. All right. So this is important to understand. The summary of the first lecture is that physics have discovered that everything is made of energy. We are made of energy. We're energy forces, right? And there are 4 fundamental forces in life: gravity, electromagnetism, weak force, strong force. And they came out, thank you, Dave. And they came out with unified field theories. And these unified field theories discovered, they have a theory. One of them is that there's one source, one force. That's the basis on the finest level of creation. That's the basis of these four fundamental forces. And it's the source of the unified field. is one force that's the source of all of creation. And this source is found in transcendental meditation through an effortless technique. Now, how does this TM technique work exactly? Here's the interesting thing, all right? The mind, Marsha explains, the mind is like an ocean. This is an ocean. And just like the superficial waves of the ocean, we have thousands of thoughts every day, right? Mm-hmm. And this is the conscious mind. This is the 5 to 15% conscious mind that we use. The rest is unconscious. The rest is on a very subtle unconscious level. That's the bottom level of the chart that you see here. And at the source of thought, all the thoughts develop like a bubble, right? And before you became aware of the thought developed at the source of thought within yourself, at the bottom of the ocean. This is the bottom of the ocean, at the source of thought, all right? You had this thought, okay, at 10 o'clock Mexico time, I'm going to follow this lecture of Ian Arada. I don't know what it's all about, but they're insistent, so I'm going to follow it and see what it's all about, right? So before you became aware of this thought developed in yourself at the source of thought. And just like a bubble that becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, it comes to more and more active levels of the mind. And only on the most active level, you become aware of the thought. On that conscious level, you become aware, oh, I'm going to follow this lecture of Ian Arada and see what it's all about.
Oh my God.
You see how that works?
So when people say control your thoughts, it's not impossible.
Control. That is unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
So this is called the unconscious level, the iceberg principle. There's a surface level of the iceberg. Beneath the surface of the iceberg, there's a whole piece of iceberg that you don't see. That is your unconscious level of your thought, okay? So what happens with TM? With TM, you just follow the opposite road of the development of a thought. You go to subtle levels of thought on a very effortless, very easy, very natural way. You come to a subtle level. It takes the mind from the gross, active level of thinking to the deepest source of thought, to the state of eventually going beyond the finest level of thought. And going beyond means, is another word for it is transcending. You transcend the finest level of thought and you come to the source of thought. And then you reach transcendental consciousness or pure consciousness, what physiologists call restful alertness. Deep in rest and you're still awake, or what the physicists call the unified field, the source of creation, just by the experience of the state of deep, deep relaxation, okay? This is what happens. So in a very effortless, in a very easy, in a very natural way, your mind will settle down to more peaceful levels, more silent levels, more silent levels. And you reach that inner source of energy, creativity, intelligence, and peace, and love, and pure consciousness, and everything you're looking for in life. Everything everybody's looking for in life is there. Because that's the source of creation. It's the source of love. It's the source of love. It's the source of fulfillment of desires. It's the source of everything you're looking for in life is already within. So how is this possible, you think? How can I bring my mind to a complete state of silence? Now, here's the thing. If anyone that has the ability to run hard also has the ability to run less hard, and the person has the ability to run slower, and it has the ability to walk, and has the ability also to stand still. The ability to stand still is enclosed in the ability to run hard. Similarly, anyone that has the ability to think thousands of thoughts every day has the ability to think less thoughts, has the ability to think less thoughts, and has the ability to stand still, to come to a state of no thoughts, of total relaxation. The only thing that has been missing is the TM technique to do that. exactly that, in a very easy, natural, effortless way. All right? That's the wonder of the TM technique. The ability is there, but the technique is missing, and the technique is the TM technique. All right? It's the key to open up your full potential of your mind, the full potential of your own inner beauty, your own inner self. Now, how does this technique work exactly? With the TM technique, we use something that we call the natural tendency of the mind. And what is the natural tendency of the mind? We are a spirit that has a body. We have a mind that has a body. What does the mind want? The mind always looks for greater and greater happiness. It always looks for more fulfillment, more happiness in everything you do in life, and everything anybody does in life. We're looking for more happiness, more fulfillment of desires, more knowledge, more money, more power, more joy, more fulfillment, more and more and more. We're looking for maximum in life. Through our five senses are thirsting for more joy, more happiness, more fulfillment, more beauty, more love, more harmony, more fulfillment. That's natural, it's normal for the mind to look for that. And in search for this happiness, the mind goes crazy because become addicted, right? Some people become addicted to drugs in search of this happiness, in alcohol, in drugs, in sex, in status, in name and fame, in power, in position. They go crazy and finding this crazy thirst of the mind is never fulfilled in the five senses. Marcia explained. This searching, this need of the mind is never fulfilled in the five senses. Marcia said it will never be fulfilled in the seeking of the mind in the five senses. What you have to do is turn your mind within yourself. You have to turn the attention within and seek that happiness within yourself. And you will find it in that source, in the bottom of the ocean, in the source of thought, because that source of thought is a state of fulfillment, is a state of ecstatic bliss. It's called Satchitananda, that consciousness that is blissful, that awareness that is blissful, that is full of love, that's full of joy, that's full of peace. That state of mind is found within yourself. So all you need to do is turn your attention inwards. And the natural tendency of the mind will take over. All right? The natural tendency means three things. It means it's effortless, it's automatic, and it's spontaneous. When something is natural, it's effortless, automatic, and spontaneous. It's natural to sleep. It means it's effortless, spontaneous, and easy to sleep. As soon as you make effort to sleep, it will not work. It's natural to speak. It's effortless, spontaneous, and automatic to speak. As soon as you make effort, it will go like that, right? So natural means it's effortless, automatic, and spontaneous. It's natural for the mind to look for a place where there's more happiness, more joy, more fulfillment, more knowledge, more and more and more and more. And maximum is already present within yourself in that source of thought, in the source of creation, in the source of bliss, of love, of fulfillment within yourself. So when you turn your attention inwards, it's just like, how do you know that natural tendency? Marcia explains it like this. If you have the radio on and you're playing CDs and you're enjoying the CDs, you're enjoying the music of the CDs, and suddenly over the radio, a more beautiful melody starts to come out of the radio. So what your mind will automatically do, very effortless and very natural, it will turn the radio higher because the mind goes from less to more happiness, to more joy, to more fulfillment. Very naturally, very effortless, the mind will go to there, right? Similarly, when you turn your attention on this bubble, because those subtle levels of creation has more energy and more intelligence. How do you know that exists? Because in physics, you break a piece of chalk, nothing happens. You break that same piece of chalk on the finest level of creation, on the atomic level, atomic energy gets loose. When you split the atom on the finest level, that's how atomic energy. So that means final levels of creation has more power, has more energy, has more intelligence, has more and more of everything, right? So now you're going to the finest level of thought. That has more energy, more intelligence. The mind will be naturally drawn to the bottom of the ocean, right? Naturally drawn to the bottom of the ocean, because it's just like it's just like diving. When you dive in a pool, in a swimming pool or in an ocean, your body will naturally gravitate towards the bottom of the ocean or the bottom of the pool. Why? Because it's drawn by gravity, right? If you throw a pebble in the ocean, what happens with the pebble? It will naturally sink, right?
Mhm.
Similarly, your mind is naturally drawn to the bottom of that pure consciousness within yourself. It just needs a correct angle and let go. You will naturally go within yourself. And you don't have to do anything from yourself. No effort, no straining. It is effortless, natural, and automatic, because the mind will naturally gravitate towards the bottom of the ocean. Just like that. But here's the key. Because of the five senses, the mind is drawn without. You need a vehicle to draw the attention within. And that vehicle is called a mantra. So the mantra is the vehicle. But there are two things you will learn in TM. One is the mantra that is selected for every individual. But that doesn't mean there's 4, 5, or 6 billion mantras. No. People are categorized in different categories. So the mantra is selected for this your category. Your category, the TM teacher has learned to select the mantra for you, right? And you have to keep the mantra for yourself, because the mantra is the vehicle to go within. The mantra is not like every other mantra that has a meaning. It doesn't have a meaning. This is not like Om Namah Shivaya or Om 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 or whatever. It doesn't have a meaning, because it's more the vibration of the mantra, the repeating of the mantra, that will make the body and mind settle down. By repeating it, the mind and body settles down. And then the natural tendency of the mind to go to that level of where more happiness is, more love, more joy, more, it will happen. It will happen by itself. But how do you use the mantra is what you learn also. So we will teach you two things, the mantra and the technique. The technique is how to use the mantra properly. Now, how does this technique differ from all the other meditation techniques that are out there? All right, so this is how we have to conclude. There are two great groups of meditation techniques there, and that encompasses all other meditation techniques. One is called concentration, and the other one is called contemplation. Concentration techniques are, I have to go back to here. Concentration techniques is a guru can give you a mantra also. You say concentrate on Om Namah Shivaya, concentrate Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah. And whenever your mind drifts off, you have to make effort to come back to Om Namah Shivaya. And whenever your mind drifts off again, you have to make the effort of coming back to Om Namah Shivaya, right? That activity of making an effort withholds the mind to become non-active. It withholds the mind of settling down to the source of thought, where there's no mantra, no activity, nothing. Not even the vehicle is there. All right? It's just pure consciousness. So TM is not a concentration technique, because concentration, the effort, the activity of effort is an activity that will hold the mind to become non-active, to become silent. So concentration techniques will not work. All right? The second group of meditation techniques is called contemplation. And concentration is not as when you learn to swim, you have to paddle, right? Dog paddle. That's how concentrate. You're staying on the surface of the ocean and you have to stay in one place. It withholds the mind to settle down. All right, the other group of meditation techniques is called contemplation, thinking deep about something. So a guru can give you something like, okay, think deeply about God is life. And so you contemplate on God is life. God is life. God is life means, oh, my life is my family. I love my family. I love my family. My parents, and it goes from one thought to another thought to another thought to another thought. That contemplation is like swimming on the surface of the ocean because you go from one thought to another thought to another thought. The activity of swimming on the surface of the ocean withholds the mind from settling down. So it's not a contemplation technique as well. TM is not a contemplation technique. What they do in mindfulness, for instance, also is, okay, you just witness your thoughts. The witnessing of your thoughts is like contemplation because you're looking at your thoughts, you're looking at the thoughts. It's like you're staying on the surface of the ocean, but you're looking at the thoughts. And you're looking at one thought and another, and you're not doing that. You're just being a silent witness, which is, it works a little bit. It does work in getting your feet wet. It does work. All meditation techniques work in reducing anxiety. It does work, and all meditation techniques have some benefit. But the diving within, you need a vehicle, the mantra, and you need to let the natural tendency of the mind take over. And that's natural tendency of the mind will naturally draw you to the bottom of the ocean. The mind, the small mind, wants to know the big mind, the real nature of the mind. Your real nature, and everybody's real nature is Satchitananda, that consciousness which is blissful, that love that's already existing within yourself, that love and peace and harmony that's already within yourself. The mind will naturally gravitate to the bottom of the ocean. All right. Only thing is, it needs a vehicle and it needs a technique. And that's what you will learn in this meditation technique. Okay. So here's the thing. This technique can only be taught by people that have been personally taught by Maharishi himself. We have been 4 or 5 months away from society, and we've been meditating a long time, and we've been personally trained by Maharishi to select the mantras and to give the technique. And how to select the mantras and how to give the technique, you learn in a teacher training course. Right? And that was one of the most sublime experiences I've ever had. Most blissful experiences. Just meditating the whole day and listening to Maharishi tapes was it changed my life. It changed my life entirely. I used to do drugs. I used to do alcohol and all these things when I was a 19-year-old. I'm 63 now. When I was a 19-year-old, I used to do all these things. And this changed my life. It changed my but it will change everybody's life because that's the thing. Everybody has this bliss within themselves. And the mantra and the technique, before you learn the mantra and technique, we do a ceremony of of gratitude, a ceremony of gratitude before you learn the technique. It's something between teacher and his teacher, and the person that's learning the technique is asked to be a silent witness of it. It takes 5 minutes, the ceremony of thanks to the tradition of great masters. And that is what we do before you learn the technique. For that, we will take care of the most of the things of the ceremony of gratitude, but we ask the person that's learning the technique to bring a couple of things along for the ceremony. And one is 5 to 7 flowers. The other one is unused, clean, white handkerchief, cotton if possible, and 2 or 3 sweet fruits. These are symbolic in the ceremony of gratitude, and a financial donation you make to the center. And that financial donation is dependent on your country and dependent on your income and all of that. The last great master was Swami Brahmananda Saraswati. Of this tradition of master, the last great master was Maharishi's master, and that is he was the Shankaracharya of Jodi Mata, as I mentioned. He was a great spiritual leader of the tradition of great masters there. And he gave Maharshi the system of TM, and he told Maharshi to go and spread it in the world. So Maharshi, in gratitude to this tradition of masses, it's this tradition of masses that's responsible to keep the purity of the teaching and therefore the effectiveness till today, through the ageless times, it has been held in its pure form. And that's why it's effective till today. And that's why we ask the people that are learning the technique to experience this tradition of gratitude, the ceremony of gratitude that we do before you learn TM. And that you just have to be a silent witness for this tradition of masters gratitude ceremony. So there's some what do you call it, requirements to learn the technique. One is you have to have at least 24 hours free of alcohol, 15 days free of experimental drugs like marijuana, hashish, and you have to have the time to meditate because the benefits are in regular meditation of 15-20 minutes morning, 15-20 minutes in the evening, and you have the time to come to the 4-day course. The 4-day course, you have to have the time to do the 4-day course. That's 1.5 hours every day. And you have to have a one-time donation. The donation is not to learn the technique itself, because the technique itself is not payable in any monetary form. It's you're given a donation to maintain the TM movement and to support the Vedic Pandits and to support the international movement in its in teaching a lot of people for free. You know, millions of people. We're trying to initiate millions of school people and the Vedic Pandits. We're all giving it for free for them. It's a substitute for that. So the donation is to maintain the rent of the building, the printing of the material, and all of these things for the maintenance of this the TM movement. And this income-based donation is different for every country. For developing countries, it's lower. For developed countries, it's a little higher. So, are there any questions on this?
No, is coffee considered like a drug?
Coffee, no.
Okay.
But we do ask when you come on the day of initiation, do not drink coffee before you come.
Oh, just on the day. Okay.
Yeah, just come on an empty stomach, because if you eat, your stomach will become active, and you will not settle down, and your mind will become active. So you come on an empty stomach. That means before you eat breakfast or lunch or whatever. If you're hungry, you just eat a little banana, so that it stills the hunger until you can come, and then you learn the technique, and then afterwards you can eat it.
Okay. And the mantra, it's sound healing, right? This is the
for your physiology. We know which sound is healing for every physiology apart. So you will fill in a form, a personality form, where you're from, blah, 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 and all that. And on the basis of that, the teacher determines the mantra and selects the mantra for every individual apart.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Very interesting.
So you'll find a center where you can learn it, and then you can learn, take the 4-day course and all that. You're welcome to come to South America and learn it. We have a place downstairs where there's our TM center downstairs. We have a place there you can sleep, because there are 2 rooms. So one room you can use for to sleep. You're welcome to sleep for free there. It's a good center. It's a nice center. It's a dignified center, because Maharshi wants it that way. We have to have dignity and a plush center and all of that, because people will not come to a poor center. They always come to a dignified center. So we have a very dignified center downstairs. You're welcome to come, but you can also learn it from a TM teacher in French Canada, in Quebec, or wherever you are from, wherever you choose to. Maybe in Mexico, they have places. You're welcome to do that.
Yeah, okay. I would love to come and visit you, or do it in Mexico, since I'm here for another month at least.
I have to find, do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, but not like 100%.
Okay, because I have to find the local TM center, and most of them will do it in Spanish. I have to find. Let me look. I'll send you the information in Mexico. How long you're there for, Snow?
Until the end of April, and
Whoa, fun!
one more
I
month.
love your lifestyle there.
I only recently started,
That's
after
great.
being imprisoned in Canada.
I feel that you belong in warmer countries. That's why
Yeah,
I'm here too. In the wintertime, I'm here. and
yeah.
so we come here from April to October, and from October to April we're here. From October here to April we are in South America, and April we're heading back to United States.
Yeah,
April 24th we're heading back, but we have to come back for a marriage or for a wedding in July. So from July we'll be here this time.
okay. You know what? I could totally go and visit you in Suriname.
Very welcome.
And I would love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And let me see exactly the dates and how I'm going to organize everything. And because I don't know by June or July if I'll be in Canada or I'll be somewhere else. So yeah, sure. I just have to confirm like the time frame and all, but I would love to.
Yeah, great. I'm happy you're willing to begin. Tell people to follow intro lectures wherever they may be, and because it's useful knowledge, it's useful for not only the individual but also for the whole society. You will help improve the society as a whole, and that's important for us. That's why we love to do this for free. Give these lectures, and you learn wherever you need to learn. Um, but it's important that people understand because people had no idea. They have a preconceived idea. Did you have a preconceived idea what TM was?
Actually, I've been trying to meditate, and some days it's easier than others. And when I heard transcendental meditation, I thought, this is going to be hard. Like, I need to have 20 years experience in meditation to be able
No,
to do transcendental meditation.
it's so easy that even kids from 10 years old can learn to meditate. That's how easy it is. And that's the nice thing about it because we use the natural tendency of the mind. The mind will naturally gravitate towards the bottom of the ocean. And that's the beauty. And how you do that, that's what you learn in those 4 days. Now, I can look for people in the area. Which part of Mexico are you at?
In Playa del Carmen.
You have to type it up for me and at me.
Yeah. I'll send it to you by WhatsApp.
But if you want to come between now and we're leaving April 24th, a week before, up until a week before, you can come here. You're welcome to. If you're adventurous, if you have an adventurous spirit, you can come here for a week, and I can teach you in 4 days time. And then after a week, you can go back to Mexico. But then the difference is you learn it right away.
Gonna what?
You learn it right away. The benefit is you learn it right away instead of waiting for months.
It's when did you say, sorry, end of April?
We're scheduled to leave. We haven't booked yet, but we were planning to book on April 25th to leave to United States in Fairfield, Iowa.
So once
you can come to Iowa and I can teach you there.
Or once you come back to
in July we come back. First week of July.
Yeah, July would work for me for sure. Okay, I'll send you the info now. And can you also send me like what is the donation and based on what income so that
yeah, our donation, let me just tell you, for Suriname, we have 3 levels. One is $180, but we're a developing country, right? And one is, it depends on your income, right? So it varies from $180 to $450. Let me see if I have it here. So if your income is above $3,000 a month, most Americans' income is about $3,000. Then it's $450. But it's a one-time payment, and for the rest of your life, you're welcome to come to advanced TM meditation checkings and all of that. Lifetime guidance, with other words. You can call me up at any time, and when I have a time, I'll make myself free and say, hey, you want a checking? Let's do the checking over the Zoom or whatever. We can do that. But it's a one-time donation to the center, and like that, we maintain the rental of the center and all of that. I'm renting this building because I have a house in Fairfield, so we're renting here because we love to teach TM. So that's why we do that. And the rental is just like any normal rental. It's just as much. But
yeah, it's reasonable amount. My income is in Canadian dollars, and it's less than 3,000. It's about 3,000 Canadian dollars a month.
okay, so the middle ground is $300. That is for people that earn more than 2,000, but less than $3,000 for us.
Okay.
So you would pay the $300. That's even better, right? But
Is it US or Canadian?
US. But
Okay.
here's the thing. By law, we made an agreement with all the countries in the world, because people now can say, oh, in Suriname it's cheaper to learn meditation. So they come to Suriname and learn meditation. So the agreement we made with other countries is those that come from America pay the American fees, those that come from Canada pay the Canadian fees. I would have to research what the Canadian fees are.
Yeah, just let me know so that
Yeah.
I'm prepared for the budgets and stuff.
Yeah,
And
it might be like 500 Canadian or something like that. I don't know. I don't know.
okay, yeah, no problem. We have
Yeah.
time anyways to
Yeah,
confirm.
exactly.
Um,
But I'm happy that you found it interesting, and if you have any other people, your friends or so, tell them, send them to a TM lecture wherever they may be. You know, we have centers all over the world. They might not give it as in my way. Every teacher has their own way of teaching it. They will tell you a whole different story, but they will still talk about the benefits. Okay, and they will still talk about the second lecture and all of that. So it's universal.
I'm very impressed. It's not like any other meditations I've heard of or studied. I'm really curious, actually,
You
and
will
especially
love
that
it, my dear. You will love it. And I know you're a seeker. And that's why I know you will love it. And I would love to teach you. I would love to teach you because you're very special.
well,
Yeah,
thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and
you're very welcome.
I'll for sure rewatch some parts of this recording because there was a lot of information there.
Yes, yes. So if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay.
All right, perfect.
All righty. So you have a great day, and we'll keep in touch.
You too. All right.
All right.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.